Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Jake Paul. Happy birthday to you. That's right, it's a very special someone's birthday today. And that someone is Jake Paul. And while I couldn't afford a cake / didn't feel like buying one for the sake of an opening gag in a video, I got you this half-eaten box of Girl Scout cookies, Jake, and it's arguably just as good. I just want to thank you for helping start the careers and line the pockets of smaller YouTubers like myself, or I would if YouTube wasn't taking away the 5 cents that I make every couple decades if I upload enough. Let me just give some context, as that's probably necessary to understand a good bit of whatever the hell just came out of my mouth. Trusted Flagger posted an excerpt from an update from YouTube talking about their new monetization rules, presumably in response to potential advertiser backlash in the wake of the Logan Paul situation. The old monetization eligibility requirements were 10,000 total lifetime views on public videos, which all things considered was a pretty easy threshold to pass. A channel around half my size could reach that if they uploaded enough. The new eligibility requirements are as read here. A channel must have 4,000 hours of watch time within the past 12 months, and they need to have 1,000 subscribers. Now, there was a little bit of a freak out from smaller YouTubers and commentators on Twitter. Some smaller YouTubers thinking they were gonna lose monetization, and that YouTube was screwing over the little guy and playing favorites like they usually do. But you can relax a little bit. If you're a smaller channel that's currently enabled for monetization, and you fall below the criteria, these policies won't even go in effect until February 20th, in order to give people a 30-day grace period according to YouTube. When that day of reckoning strikes though, people with less than 1,000 subscribers or 4,000 hours of watch time will no longer be able to earn money off of YouTube AdSense. And when they reach those milestones again, they'll automatically be re-evaluated, but under strict criteria, to make sure they comply with YouTube policy and all that. YouTube said that they determined these thresholds by talking to creators like us, and through analysis or something else boring. I can't breathe through my nose. YouTube's justification for this is that it will help them prevent inappropriate videos from monetizing, which can hurt everyone for revenue, and that it will improve their ability to identify creators who contribute positively to the community and help drive more ad revenue to them and away from bad actors. I definitely get the motivation behind this change, but the usage of the phrase bad actors by YouTube always puts me off for some reason. That's a bit of a nitpick and kind of an aside though. On the whole, I feel like this is a much more reasonable response to controversies like the Logan Paul thing than the two separate ad crises we experienced and the rampant demonetization that YouTube's enacted. So the people who are freaking out saying that YouTube is turning on the small creator once again, how much are people like my size and your size actually missing out on? The amount of revenue that a bunch of small creators like myself would be making as pocket change is next to nothing when it's spread out amongst a bunch of individuals like it is. Not to mention, you need to have earned at least $100 in YouTube AdSense to be able to withdraw that amount from AdSense in the first place so that you can use it. And generously estimating a $1 CPM, you would need 100,000 monetized views, keyword monetized views, because not every single view you get actually gets an ad on it, to even take that money out of AdSense. And since not every view that you get is monetized, you would need to make even more than 100,000 views to withdraw your first payment. The exception to this, I think, is if you're part of a network. Trusted Flagger estimated that the 4,000 hours of watch time needed, which translates to 240,000 minutes, would take around 80,000 total views to reach, if we estimate that the average video watch time is 3 minutes. 240,000 divided by 3 equals 80,000. Quick math. Cool math games will be the death of me. But in the best case scenario, assuming that every single view you got was monetized, those 80,000 views wouldn't even be enough to get that first $100 you would need to take your first payment out of AdSense. And while yes, you are losing out on some of that initial money, if you were able to run ads on your videos at a lower total view count, it's money that you wouldn't even get unless you hit a view count that is higher than this new 80,000 view threshold. As I said earlier, that amount of revenue that would go to creators like me and a bunch of other channels below 1,000 subscribers is next to nothing when it's spread out amongst so many people. That amount that's nothing that goes to a lot of creators like us gets to go back in circulation to creators who do qualify and are the ones who actually do YouTube for a living, where that extra revenue could make the difference between them being able to pay their rent or not. The revenue that the thousands of us wouldn't be getting, it would add up when given to a smaller amount of creators who are bigger than us, who actually have to live off what they make from YouTube. A lot of different YouTubers have made this point already, so I wouldn't be surprised if you've heard it elsewhere. I'm Alex actually pointed out, for the people who work hard enough and actually managed to break this barrier, there was a greater reward at the end of the tunnel. So it kind of of acts like a larger incentive for creators to work hard. Tunnel Biscuit said this: "Please bear in mind the next time somebody says that smaller creators are getting screwed out of money, they are at most being screwed out of a trip to KFC. 4K hours of watch time over a lifetime is nothing." iDubbbz made my Twitter timeline almost collapse on itself with whatever the fuck this is. "I got some bad news for you aspiring YouTubers. You're not gonna make it. You're poor and autistic. Die. Better start learning how to die. And fast. Us YouTubers with genius IQs who've made it need our world purged of you peasants. Nijin." Those were all in quotations, by the way. His words, not mine. I don't know what I was expecting from iDubbbz, to be honest. This seems right in line with what he would say to some sort of outrage on YouTube, to be fair. When YouTube said they were taking steps to make sure a video like Logan Paul's Suicide Forest one was never circulated again, if this is what they decided on doing, and only this, I'd say we got off pretty good. Now, there is one group on YouTube that I think is affected the most by this, that I think actually has a good case to be upset about it. That group is animators. Animators are a group that have been constantly and consistently been beaten down by YouTube's changing policies and algorithms. The recent popularity of channels like Jaden Animations and The Odd Ones Out is encouraging, but even then, I'll just play a clip of a video by Ross O'Donovan to give you an idea of the full scope of the situation.
The cold calculating backend to YouTube now mainly looks for two things: minutes watched and frequency of uploads. A piece of high quality animation could take one person from about 2 to 5 months to produce. Frequent uploads for an independent animation channel are incredibly unreasonable requirement, and alternatively, animators have chosen to produce simpler animations in the form of animatics, lesser quality animated cartoons that kind of keep the same comedic vision intact. Though they still don't meet the second requirement. This is kind of what kills it, guys. Minutes watched. It's unreasonable and entirely unattainable for these channels. The golden number that I hear time and time again is around like 10 minutes or more. For an animation channel to achieve this, they need to be able to pay an entire staff of animators. The longer the content, the higher the quality of the ads you'll be able to run on, and the better the CPM you receive. The sad truth is that regardless of views, most animated content being produced now is at a loss to the creator.
And even more recent than that was the situation with YouTube Rewind 2017. The animators featured in YouTube Rewind worked unpaid, and thus gave up time they could be working on projects that they actually would have gotten revenue from. And from what I understand, some of them worked on YouTube Rewind for free as a sign of good faith towards YouTube. One of these people was Rebecca Parham. She made a video promoting her part in YouTube Rewind, and she encouraged people to go watch it, only to have that video that she made promoting YouTube Rewind got demonetized. She rightfully decided to complain about it on Twitter, and it got pretty big, so YouTube got around to fixing it. But after working for free as a sign of good faith to YouTube, she got one of her videos promoting her work that she did for YouTube demonetized, and now other animators are getting hit with these new monetization thresholds, where they are possibly the only group of people hit by them in any meaningful way. At least smaller animators will be. You can argue that it was already hard to get a meaningful amount of money from AdSense on animations in the first place, and that these new changes aren't really making a difference. It's just as hard as before, maybe a little harder, which is a fair point, but by the same token, and as a lot of you might know, animation can be a time-consuming, tedious, and arguably unrewarding process in the case of YouTube. Since animation is a format that takes so long to output videos for, even if those videos are only a couple minutes in length, they are a lot harder to post regularly and get watch time on consistently. This already isn't helpful into fitting into YouTube's algorithm, but some channels like The Odd Ones Out and Jaden Animations, as aforementioned, still manage to grow on this platform in spite of that. But if you look closely on these success stories, you'll notice that certain things had to be done to make their semi-regular output be viable. Looking at Jaden Animations' channel, you'll notice that she uploads roughly 2 to 3 times a month, and almost all of her uploads don't reach the 10-minute mark. And if you look in the description of the video, you'll find a section called Other Animator Buds. These are other animators who assisted in making the video. And while I'm not exactly sure to what capacity they helped, the takeaway here is that these videos aren't a one-man project. It's not just one animator working really hard and really fast to make regularly uploaded content, at least by typical YouTube animation standards. Also, shout out Hyojin Lo. Some of Jaden Animations videos do have live action footage spliced in, though it is still cleverly placed to be effective. But the point here is that someone just animating faster isn't really something that's plausible. And I'm not saying any of this to try and take away from what people like Jaden Animations have done, because I think what they managed to do on this website in the face of everything stacked against them is pretty admirable and a bit inspiring. But for animators specifically, it's just that much harder to make money on YouTube based solely on animation, seeing as how hard it is and how long it can take to put out a piece of content that's only 2 minutes long. Because of this, animators can potentially garner audiences that are well over 1,000 subscribers, but their watch time struggles to reach that 4,000 hour criteria. Now, I say based on solely animation itself, because the final product of animation isn't the only thing to take interest in the medium as a whole. Plus, there's a lot of interest in the process itself, and a lot of viewers to tap into that would be interested in watching people animate. For instance, like the aforementioned Hyojin, she live streams herself drawing and animating on Twitch, and a highlight channel here on YouTube takes the best parts of those streams, uploads them, and edits them as highlight videos here to YouTube and on Twitter. Do you want to know what that channel's called? Hyojin Highlights. God damn it, Root. And while in this case, the channel is run by a third party and not Hyojin herself,
shout out Root, Kappa, and Caboose.
The point of finding different ways to make animation viewable and more than just the final product potentially becomes more appealing to animators and becomes more important to do so. In my opinion, animation still has a place on YouTube as it should, but it's gonna take more creativity or more roundabout ways of making content about animation for animators to be able to make a living off of YouTube alone. Like I said, there are other alternatives, like streaming on Twitch or having a Patreon, and I think it's important for those options to exist as well, because I don't think YouTube is ever gonna be able to make a set of rules or algorithms or policies that cover every single subgroup on YouTube. But animation is such a big one that constantly gets the short end of the stick. It just sucks to see how they might be affected by this, right after it seems like they were being finally properly acknowledged by YouTube and YouTube Rewind. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to drop a like, and if you're new, subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1.5k before the end of January, and like I said in my last video, it's probably not gonna happen, but fuck it, I might as well plug. This has been Kwite, and I will see you guys next time.